Okay, we're starting Be'ez Hashem Siman Nun Beis, now haGuela, and the discussion is about how to understand the success of the Zionists. So he says, V'hinei, Beperek Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos. In Tehillim, Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbos, we say every week, right? Ish bar lo yeda, uchsi lo yavin ezois. It says the foolish will not understand, and the fool, also another kind of fool, will not understand this. We'll have to be more exact in the title later on in the simon, but basically, B'frayach Rishayim, K'mo Yesev, when the Rishayim sprout like grass, Yotzitzu kol po'el yavan, and all those who do evil bear fruit. Oid yinuvim b'seva, and then it ends off at the end. The tzaddikim, tzaddik hatam or yifrach, tzaddik will grow like a palm tree. Oid yinuvim b'seva, and they'll even be fruitful in their old age. Sheinim v'ra'ananim yiyu, they'll be fresh. Lahagig hiyashar Hashem tzuri v'lo yavlo saboy, to tell that Hashem is straight and just, and He's my rock, and there's no evil in Him. So, Kosav Shalmer Radak in his commentary ala Kosav Oy Nuvim B'Seva, on the last pasuk there, where it says that they'll Lahagig hiyashar Hashem, they'll see that Hashem is just. He says Shezeh b'mei HaMashiach. He says that's going to be fulfilled in the time of Mashiach. Sheyiyu yimei Yisrael aruchim, because it says Oy Nuvim B'Seva, they'll be very fruitful in their old age. When are people going to live long? In the time of Mashiach. So he says this whole pasuk is going on Yemos Mashiach. And he says, the Shenim V'Ra'ananim, they'll be fresh in their old age. Lahagid ki yasher Hashem, what does that mean? She'oz yagidu ki yasher Hashem. Then people will know, and people will say, Hashem was just all along. In the earlier days, they won't understand why the Rishayim are successful. They'll say, look, B'frayach Rishayim K'mo Yesev, the Rishayim blossom like the grass. But then, when Mashiach comes, we're going to understand everything. Ki bisman hazeh libois b'nei adam poischim. Says today's times the hearts of people are jumping back and forth. B'maisa hakal, in the with a small story that happens, biroisam shalvas rishayim, when they see the peace of the wicked, the success of the wicked. V'yisuri at tzaddikim, they see that the tzaddikim suffer. They're going to have a kasher, right? The famous question of why do the righteous suffer and why do the wicked prosper? But when Mashiach comes, it will be Zman ha'asi in the future. B'maisa Mashiach, it's tarfu v'yislabnu v'yisharu ka'kesef mezukach. Then they'll be purified like silver. V'lo yiyeh oid shalvas rishayim, and then they won't have any more success for the wicked. V'lo yitzar le'tzadikim, and the tzadikim won't have any suffering. V'oz yeidu kol ha'olam ki yasher Hashem, and everybody in the world will know that Hashem is just. V'yoimru, and they'll say, Hakol, everyone will say, Ki lo yavla saboy. There's no injustice in Him, in Hashem. V'chol ma'asehu be'emunah. Everything that Hashem does is faithful. Yirin Sham. So that's how the Radak explains this kapitel to Tehillim. V'chayra haloshen hu pella. So the rebbe asks the kasher, haloshen hu pella atzum. Shenira chas v'shalom sheyesh tzorich lahagid al Hashem she'eno oisa avlo v'yashahu. The problem is, who are we talking about here? Who are these people who are doubtful about Hashem's justice, and then when Mashiach comes, they're going to know that Hashem is just? If it's religious Jews who believe in Hashem, how did they ever have a doubt? They believe in Hashem, right? So who are these people that we're talking about here? He says, Shanira chas v'shalom. It looks like chas v'shalom sheyesh tzorich lahagi, that we need to hear that Hashem is just and He's not doing something crooked. We need to hear that. That's true if Hashem would be a human. If we'd be like, let's say a human being does something, we don't understand it, and then later on we understand it. Okay, that would make sense. Because a basar b'dam could make mistakes. So maybe he's not a straight person. But by Hashem, if some Jew believes in Hashem, who came, and he knows Hashem is good. Hashem wouldn't do something that's wrong. But if this person that the Tehillim is describing is someone who has a suffix about this, he's not sure if Hashem is just or not, then who koifer b'HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's tantamount to not believing in Hashem. Why? He thinks something false about God. Because that's the way it is. When someone thinks about God, even if he says he believes in God, but he believes in a different set of descriptions of God that don't fit with the Ani Mamins, then it's not called really believing in God. Like, let's say we believe God's not physical. If he believes God is physical, then he's not believing in God. If he believes God doesn't live forever, or doesn't know what's going on in the world, all these kind of things, that if someone believes that, then they're not believing in Hashem. So here, the Rebbe is saying, if someone doesn't believe that Hashem is just, that's not called believing in Hashem. So who are these people who are that the Tehillim is promising that they're going to know in the future what happens? I just want to say, maybe you could answer, before we see the Rebbe's answer, maybe the answer is that we're talking about both kinds of people here. It says, it says it says, in the times of Mashiach, these people are going to be, what's it called? They're going to be old, they're going to be living long and fresh and good lives. So it sounds like he's talking about tzaddikim. Maybe that's his kasha, but you could say that the pasuk is referring to the Rishonim. The Rishonim will have a question, not the tzaddikim. The Rishonim had a question, was Hashem just or not? And then in the time of Mashiach they'll find out. I guess the Rebbe's question is based on the fact that they're going to live long and they're going to have good lives. You see, we're not talking about Rishonim. I guess that's his question. I was going to answer maybe it's talking about the Rishonim, but maybe I see what his point is. All right. Anyway, v'nirin hadvarim al pi ma shekasav kedusha sekeni, zichron levracha. So the Rebbe is quoting here his great grandfather Yismach Moshe. The Pirush HaKasav, the Yismach Moshe wrote a commentary on Tehillim, which is called Tefillah L'Moshe. So he's going to quote that now. He says on this pasuk, Ish bar lo yeda uchsil lo yavin azois. So he says two words in Hebrew that seems to mean the same thing, bar and kasil. They both mean a fool. So what's the difference between them? So he says the kasher haloshen. It says there's a problem here. The meshemeshana bein habar l'ksil. It distinguishes between these two types of fool. Umahu haloshen as zois. What is it adding on zois? It says one person won't know and the other one won't understand. He won't understand this. What's the this? Mahu loshen as zois she'omer eitz ksil. The ksil, this fool called the ksil, he doesn't understand this. What's the this? So Zakti Yismach Moshe aval ho'inyan hu shehabar lo yeda l'tarit. So bar means like an ignorant person. He's not foolish. He's more like ignorant. So he's like on the Seder we have the ben she'enu yodei lishol. Basically he's ignorant. For the Tom, maybe he's the Tom. Okay, he's not bad. He's just ignorant. So he doesn't understand l'tarit sapliya ha'atzuma. He can't explain the problem of the suffering of the wicked, the suffering of the righteous, and the prospering of the wicked. He can't explain it. At least he knows that he doesn't know. That's the greatness of this guy who's a bar. He's a bar. He's an ignorant guy, but he at least has emunah. He walks around with this pashut emunah. He just believes there must be a reason. Kind of like what most of us would say, right? We can't explain what's going on in the world. Someone asks you, why does this person die young, and why does this person live a long life, and they're in Russia? We can't explain it. So we're like the bar lo yeda. He doesn't know, but he knows he doesn't know. That's fine. Aksil, the fool is not just a fool. He's a bad fool. He's gara me'abar. He's worse. Shelo yavin gam es dois. He doesn't even understand this. Meaning what? Leida shein yodeh. He doesn't know to know that he doesn't know. He doesn't have the brains to realize that he doesn't know. Like the bar does. He claims to know. He says, yeah, I do know why those people are prospering. You know why? Because they're not going to be Rishonim. Like the Zionists, you understand already where he's going with this. The Zionists, the fool says, the Ksil says to the Zionists, oh, look, you see they won the war, it must be that they're right. It must be they're tzaddikim. That's where he's going. Okay? So the bar is the person who says, okay, I put my hands up, I have no idea. But the Ksil is saying, yeah, these are the Zionists, they won the war, that's it, let's be Zionists now. Comes out we really have three types of people. The first type is the wise man. He already knows. He doesn't say like the bar, I have no idea. He's actually more smart than that. He says, I know now they were succeeding maybe, but in the future they won't. He says, he has no problem understanding it. He's waiting for the day when the tzaddikim will have a Yeshua, will be a Mashiach, and then when Mashiach comes, everybody will know the truth. The second kind of person is who abar, is the ignorant person, the imuna pshuta person, he doesn't know the answer, and he has a confused mind. And the third type is hu aksil. He's the worst of all of them. Even though he doesn't understand it, but he thinks he understands it. What is this knowledge? How could he claim that he understands it? So how does he understand it? What taka does he say about the Rishonim? So he says, so he's referring back to the Pesukim in Malachi. If you go back to the beginning of the Sefer of haGuela, Siman Aleph, he starts out darshaning the Pesukim of Malachi. In the last, we're going to learn in 2 weeks on Shabbos HaGadol, the Haftorah of Shabbos HaGadol. V'arvel Hashem minchas Yehuda v'Yerushalayim kimei olam v'chshayim kamon yos. And then it goes on, and it says, Chazku alai divreichem. Just take a peek back in Aleph for a minute. These are the psukim that the Rebbe holds are the real description. If you want to look back in the Nevi'im and find a description of our time, that's the description he picks. And it's interesting that description is supposed to be a description of the time before Mashiach comes. You see, the end of that Haftorah, it ends off with the words Hinei anochi sholech lachem eis Eliyahu hanavi lifnei bo yom Hashem hagadav v'hanoyer. For the coming of Mashiach, I'm going to send you Eliyahu hanavi. So that's the last nevuah, by the way. Malachi was the last navi. So he's giving us the final message of the Nevi'im before nevuah ended to describe our times. Anyway, so look at this. First line, Hanavi Malachi, he's nabe al yemois Mashiach. V'yomar chazku alai divreichem. Amar Hashem. Hashem says to the Jewish people, your words are too rough for me, are too strong for me, are too like chutzpahdik for me. Upirshim afarshim dvarim chazakim v'kashim. Okay, and then you go to the next line. V'amartem ma nidbarnu alecha. What did we speak against you? The Jews ask. So Hashem answers back. Amartem, you said shav avoid Elokim. You said it's worthless to serve God. What good did it do us that we kept the mitzvahs of Hashem? That we went blackened. Basically, we went poor and we suffered. We suffered persecution. We stayed Jewish. We stayed from. What good did it do us? Now we endorse the wicked because they're being successful now. Gam nivnu oisei risha. Those who do evil are succeeding. Okay? And then it goes on after the parentheses. Gam bachanu Elokim vayimoletu. They tested Hashem and they escaped. They said, let's see if Hashem punishes us, and they didn't get punished. And then if you look in base, Siman base in haGuela, another pasuk from Malachi. Oid savach hanavi Malachi. The Malachi cries out and says, Hoigatem Hashem b'divrechem. You have tired out Hashem with your words. Va'amartem b'meh hoiganu. What did we do? What did we say? Ve'amarchem kol oisei ra toiv b'einei Hashem. You said on the wicked that they are good in the eyes of Hashem. Uvahem hu chafetz, and He desires them. Or you say, Ayeh Eloikei HaMishpat. Where is the God of justice? So either where's the God of justice, or else if He's just, then these people must be good. So back to Nun base. So he's saying that the Ksil over here is the one who says those words. He's the foolish guy who says if they're succeeding, then it must be Kol Oisei Ra Anyone who does evil is toiv be'enei Hashem, is good in the eyes of Hashem. He thinks whatever they do is not wrong. And that's what we see today. Everyone wants to go and join the bandwagon of the success of these heretics. He wants to go after their taiva, and he wants to have pleasure from or benefit from their good luck that they're having now, their good fortune. So therefore they go out and they say, you know what, we want to benefit from the Zionists, let's find out how we could justify them based on the Torah. They open up the Torah and they do like kasher. Right after the 6 Day War, he puts out a book, haGuela, full of terutzim to explain why the Zionists are right. I don't know if the Rebbe wrote, I think he wrote this before Kasher's book came out, because it came out the next year. The Rebbe was first, right after Kasher. Menachem Kasher. He's someone who wrote a very big, famous book against a pro-Zionist book. Yeah, he was a Talmud Chacham. It's actually interesting, he wrote a very long sefer called Torah Shlema, which is in a lot of Batim Medrash today. They say even the Rebbe had it in his shelf. Torah Shlema is a sefer. You never heard of Torah Tamima? The Torah Tamima brings on every pasuk, every chazal. So Torah Shlema does that plus more. He brings even more chazals than Torah Tamima brings, and he has comments on them, lots of comments, long, footnotes going on for pages and pages. It's like 10 volumes, maybe 20 volumes. It's a huge sefer. Torah Shlema. So Kasher was a Talmud Chacham, no question. Anyway, so they go out, and so it takes someone like that who knew every sefer on the shelf to be able to find terutzim for the Zionists. So, of course, he found, and other people did too. Anyway, so moitzim lahem maslois, they find different excuses to explain why the Zionists are right. Leimor shebachar bohem HaKadosh Baruch Hu v'maaseim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually chose them and wants them to be there and do what they do. Those same people who installed Hashem, and they actually led Jews astray to become atheists, but no, Hashem likes these people. They try to uproot the Torah. They're still doing it, even now. And they say, no, you know why they won the war? Because the HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted them. Hashem gives them this success in order to make them more powerful. There's nothing worse than this in terms of rebelling against the HaKadosh Baruch Hu. To hang like rotten bottles on them, basically to hang something that's totally not, or an empty bottle, something that's totally empty and false, to say that Hashem said this. And therefore these people say there's nothing wrong with the Zionists at all, they're good. They endorse the wicked, that the ones who tested Hashem, and they say, yeah, you have to be like them, you have to be like the Zionists. And they find sources in the Torah, falsified or twisted sources from the Torah. And that's why the pasuk says over here, so again, back to our question. That was the Mitzvah Machmoshe's question, the difference between the two types of fool. But now the Rebbe's question was what? Was that who are these people that are finding out that Hashem was just? If they were tzaddikim, then how could they have a suffix whether Hashem was just? The answer is, it's true. They were from Jews. They believed in Hashem being just. They just thought these people were good, and that's why Hashem is favoring them. But la'asid lavoy, when Mashiach comes, yisgalaho emes, the truth will be known. Ki b'hashpas HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo nimtza avlasa. Hashem doesn't do anything unjust. Elo kol hatzlachas Rishayim hu al yidei hasamach mem. The reason why the Rishayim are successful is because of the samach mem. What's the samach mem? Shehi nicha HaKadosh Baruch Hu l'nisayin. HaKadosh Baruch Hu allows a test of our faith. And that's why He gives them a right to succeed, but in the future we'll find out that the truth V'Yisraelim keren hatzadikim, and the tzadikim, pride will be uplifted. V'haya Hashem l'melech al kol haaretz. Hashem will be the king of the world. V'yiyeh eich sheyiyeh b'bira ksuvim. However, the psukim should be explained. Al kapanim zev vaday mevur b'kasuv. We at least see what the Yismach Moshe says, which is goydel aksilus, the great foolishness shel hamispalim mi'atzlachos rishaim. Those people who are impressed by the success of the rishaim. He says actually most people in the world are fools of this type that we're describing here. Okay, Ad Kan Miksav Yad Kodshay. So this part of the Simon was written by the Rebbe in his own handwriting. And then we're going to continue now. This is from his Shalosh Torah, transcribed by others. Gam Eich Efshar Loimar Shahaya Kibusham Umilchamtum Al Pia Torah. Now he goes into a totally different subject now. How could you claim that this war and this conquest was based on the Torah? Even if you're going to forget about the Shalosh Shvuos and you're going to explain, the Zionism is good and everything else. But the problem is, how could this be? Why? Because they conquered parts of Eretz Yisrael where there were many houses of Avodah Zarah, churches and things like that. The old city is still full of churches, and East Jerusalem, many Bethlehem, other places. And they conquered those places, and they didn't destroy the churches. And not only that, they actually support them. He's going to say, and that is considered like doing avodah zarah, conquering an area. For Jews to own an area and have a country, and just not shut down avodah zarah there, is aser. How do we know that? Kamosh biarti b'sifri vayol Moshe, Maimer al Simon Tzadik. Explained it already in Vayol Moshe. Ve'vesi divrei hapoiskim b'zel. They brought down the poiskim. V'vur came b'divrei Rambam. It's brought in the Rambam, Perek Zayin, Hilchos Avodah Zarah, Halacha Aleph. Shehi mitzvahs aseh. It's a positive commandment in the Torah. La'abed Avodah Zarah b'chol makom shenichbo shasah, to destroy the idolatry from any place that we conquer. What?
Only b'yachol toy.
Yeah. Well, so obviously we're not supposed to go blowing up churches now, because we're not supposed to have a Medina in the first place. That's what the Rebbe is trying to show, how ridiculous it is. You can't have a Medina now, because look what you would have to do. If you were a Zionist, a pure Zionist, right, holds an owning Eretz Yisrael for the Jewish people, like in the time of Yeshua, you should go blow up the churches, right? That's what Yeshua did. Obviously, you can't, right? That would be like starting up with the whole world.
They had settlers taking down the gravestones from the Christians, and those videos went all around the world, and like that could...
Wow. Why were there gravestones in the places where the settlers took over? You mean like an empty land?
I guess in Judea and Samaria there was like cross gravestones, like Christian graves and stuff.
Yeah.
Withdraw evangelical support for Israel, and then it's game over.
Yeah, they're pulling the rug from under their own feet. Anyway, so bottom line, so he's saying how ridiculous, there can't be such a thing as conquering, because look, if you conquer, you're going to have to do this. Umevur b'mesechta avodah zarah daf memhem base. It says Gidua avodah zarah koydem l'kibush Eretz Yisrael. It actually says an even bigger chiddush that you have to destroy the avodah zarah before you conquer it, which it's hard to understand how you could do that. How are you going to destroy, if you haven't invaded a country yet, how are you going to destroy their idols? From the air? You're going to bomb them with planes? What are you going to do? So, back when we were learning the Hakdama, I said a different answer. I said maybe the pshat is that when Yoshua conquered Eretz Yisrael, they came in, there were cities, and all the Canaanim were living in their cities, right? So, but outside the cities there were Asherah trees, and their job was to burn down the Asherah trees before they started besieging the cities. Anyway,
shechting the land.
Yeah. So
like, I don't know, burning Bibles or whatever. Like,
what do you mean, burning the
Bible burning day?
Yeah. Well, people, it's not in style today to be intolerant, but the Torah is kind of intolerant. You have to admit it. The Torah says don't allow any avodah zarah in your land. It's not like we can have like one religion here, another religion there, down the street, church here, mosque there. No, the Torah says not to do it. So, But we're not living in those times. We're used to the Gaulis mentality, so we're not with it. Anyway, Ayin Rashi Sham. Rashi on that Gemara. Ve'evesi divrei ha'or chaim hakadosh parshas mishpatim. I brought down the Or Chaim HaKadosh and Vayal Moshe there. She'oiver gam b'loi saseh. That if you don't destroy it, im loi bir b'loi ibed avodah zarah b'kibusha. If you don't destroy the avodah zarah when you conquer, then you're transgressing even the negative commandment to do avodah zarah, because Hashem considers it as if you did it. And if that's the case, eich yal el adas. How could anyone think shahaya kibushim al pi haTorah, that their destruction, their conquest could be based on the Torah? As soon as they conquered it, overall lister avodah zarah kechol Torah, that they transgressed avodah zarah, which is the biggest avera. Uvechol rega v'rega shemachzikim bohem. And every second that they hold on to it, they don't destroy it. They promise to keep it going. They have a Misrad Adasos, the Office of Religions, which they changed the name now. They don't like that name. The rebbe made too much fun of it, so they changed it to what do you call it? They changed it to, I don't know. They picked a new name, Misrad Hayadus or something. I don't know. I can't remember what it is. But the point is, they promise, they do the same things before. They give money to all the religions. So the Zionists are actually doing avodah zarah openly. How could the religious Zionists? We're not asking on Ben Gurion and Eshkol and Dayan, these people, but we're asking on the religious Zionists who praise the 6-day war conquest. How could they think that this is good? Yeah. And by the way, Rav Yosef, we once went through it in his article on giving back land, which Rav Yosef held you're supposed to give back the territories for peace. So he has a long piece, which I did in the Shir, and a lot of it is based on Vayal Moshe. It's very interesting. He talks about the Shalosh Shvuos. He talks about that there's no mitzvah now to conquer Eretz Yisrael, and there's no mitzvah to fight, and all the conquest that they're doing is not really al pi Torah. And one of the reasons he brings is because of this. He actually brings down, he doesn't quote the rebbe, but he says you're not allowed to conquer and not get rid of avodah zarah. So he says, therefore, since we can't get rid of the avodah zarah today because it's against the whole world, we would never be able to do that and get away with it. So therefore, there's no mitzvah to conquer today. But the funny thing is, he stops short of saying that it's asur to conquer. That he doesn't say. He's not going to asur the Israeli army, but he says it's not a mitzvah. So at least that much he goes against the settlers and says it's not a mitzvah. Okay?